Arcturians, who are they? What are they? Where are they from? Well, you're going to find out because we have one in the screen. This lady here was on my channel many years ago, and I am so delighted to bring her back, to reintroduce her to you, for her to share her beautiful legacy, her beautiful frequency, and her beautiful truth. Welcome back, Viviane Chauvet.
Ah, thank you, Nanny. Thank you so much. It is wonderful to be back here today with you, especially at the beginning of such a powerful transitional times that we're here. So thank you for expanding uh, yourself, extending an invitation, opening your heart. It's a joy to be here.
Thank you, Vivian. And just to clear up, there'll be people that know over the few years that there was a gap, only because I unfortunately listened to someone and have learned a very hard and tough lesson because somebody informed me that you were an evil grey alien and your dad was an evil grey alien. And unfortunately, I listened to that mistruth, that lie, and repeated it into the field, which caused you great pain and great hurt. And you and I have made our private, connection behind the scenes, bringing you back here. We don't want to focus on negative people, obviously, but just to say, because there will be people that know that, we had a separation, and I'm owning it completely, which is something beautiful and hard, and something that people must do, especially if they put themselves on the front line. If you screw up and you hurt people, you got to own it. You got to be big enough to say you're sorry. You got to not say yes, but this, but, because I could blame the person, but that would make me a narcissist if I didn't say, actually, I listened to them, I believe them, but I still chose to believe it, and I still chose to put negative words into the field. And that is where we have to, as we were discussing earlier, find that root of compassion. But the only reason why I found out for sure, Vivian, as you know, that everything I've been told about you was dishonest and untrue, and permitted your work moving forward in many ways, was because that same person did that to me. And then the minions and the fans around the person that have no mind of their own, just pure devotion to the person, they all turned. And that so many lies went out, and I'm like, oh my god, well, she's lying about me, saying these terrible things. She must have lied about Vivian and other people. And so that was my decision. Now I have no trust for their intel whatsoever and need to correct. And of course, reached out to you with my heart. And in my letter to you, I said, there's not one thing you need to do. I need to tell you how sorry I am. You don't need to reply. You don't need to do one thing. But I hope that you will hear my soul, my heart. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And you did, and I'm very honoured that you did. Yeah. So let me just turn over to you, beautiful Arcturian energy, and please speak from your heart and share what you need to share.
I'm very grateful for you, Danny, and I want to acknowledge you for the courage of taking ownership. And I love what you just said. You say, yes, I was misguided by someone who seemed to have more authority over me, someone who seemed to know more than I do, who seems to have such a presence, a following, all of this. And I love to feel like even though you admit it so beautifully and with honesty and an open heart, to feel like I still need to own my part in it and how many people were very hurt. And it's true. I mean, for quite a few years, it was a heavy energy behind the scene. I never knew at one point, whatever I was going to do, an interview, social media, an event, I never knew if that person will come behind the scene and just create havoc and has. And it was, I may be genetically only 30% human, but I have a heart and I feel deeply. In Arcturians, we are great compassion beings. We emanate the frequency of love. So I feel even deeper. I have this multidimensional capacity to feel and hold. Um, when that happened back in 2022, Danny, what I did is consult right away with the Arcturian Council and the Arcturian elders. And they said, that's what they said. The pain and the suffering that you have endured, dear one, will be rectified in time. In the meanwhile, you need to continue to fulfilling the promise that you've made to the council and to the prime creator to be of service to this planet. We advise you to continue on your journey and to fulfill your soul purpose, which I did. So over the last few years, I have created the Arcturian University and online sanctuary where we are blossom with mastery and guidance. I have traveled almost on every continent on the planet. I have expanded my light, knowing all this time, Danny, that I knew at some point that our path will reconnect. And here we are today. And I'm thrilled that it is happening today because we are the voice of compassion. We are the voice of what true universal forgiveness is about. We have the voice for many who have been manipulated based on impression or influx of information or what seems to be so enthralling. We are the voice for those who have been deceived, those who have been hurt, those who gave blindly their allegiance, their faith, their light, their power to a one. And there are many people like that around the world. But 2026, as we are in these transitional times, we're going to start to embark on the beginning of a brand new blueprint, a brand new blueprint of a new era. So someone like Elena Dannon and others, that kind of self-serving, manipulated ways of wanting to control the hearts and minds of others based on galactics. And we never endorse the energy of these people like her and others. And this is very much about releasing these belief systems, shifting the old mindset is to heal the wounds. Sometimes people who have been following blindly without asking themselves, why is that one person is so much after many other light beings, other light workers, and putting them on the blacklist, which was completely irradical, very illogical. And to feel that sometimes people may feel abandoned by also their belief systems and feel betrayed by them. And to really, so what's happening with us, with each other, with you, Danny, is we're giving everyone an opportunity for that compassion to yourself. If you feel that you have followed someone like her and others of similar demeanors, whether it's men or women, it's just the time to heal and give yourself the forgiveness that it needs, and understanding at a soul level that all these soul experiences will bring you a great deal of wisdom, and that wisdom may accelerate by 1,000-fold your soul evolution. So nothing is in vain. Instead, we need to redirect our ability to discern, to see, to perceive from the heart wisdom, for allowing more light to come fully and to step into the knowledge of our self-awareness. And that's going to be very, very important of where we are and where we're shifting into. And it's 2026, it's that blueprint of renewal. It's a threshold of evolution. It's a time of great gatherings, of reunions. And you and I coming back today in this moment, right at the beginning of that threshold of evolution, is a prime example of these great reunions,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's beautiful. Yeah, I recognize it's an 8 day, that's a manifesting day, a magical day, the eight. I
Yes.
don't know what and if you put any weight on numerology at all. A lot of people do. I enjoy the science of numerology and looking where it leads me or how numbers will show up on a particular day or a particular time. You mentioned that, and I fully agree with you that, in this life, but people, we get our information from many different ways. There's going to be some people on their journey home to their soul healing, their childhood healing in the body on earth, but maybe with those memories of, star family, for example, they may resonate more with you and the Arcturians than they will with Pleiadians or Syrians, or like I had the beautiful Rebecca Rose on this week. And it was great to reconnect to her. Of course, same thing happened with her. Unfortunately, I listened to dishonest information. She's such a beautiful soul, and I knew that. The lesson again for me was with Vivian, with Rebecca Rose, for example, in the main. The two of you, there is this extraordinarily deep, loving sweetness. I can't put my finger on it. It is a different resonance. It is so powerful but gentle. It's so different. I'm like a bull in a bloody china shop. I'm very loving and very passionate, but I'm gonna grab you and hug you and and cry and all the rest of it, laugh and but you and Rebecca Rose, you're like, there's a gentle flow that isn't. It's otherworldly, is what it is, and I felt that, and I've carried that. The two of you in particular, pain in my heart all these years of being instructed, not to have communication with you, which of course was wrong. But it's amazing now sitting in front of you now and witnessing your growth too. I mean, the way you're talking and owning, like more than ever, which is lovely to witness in someone else when you haven't seen them for a while, the kind of difference. So, can we share your beginning information from your childhood for those that have never seen you on this channel? Can we share where you're from and that journey, and you take your time and tell us what you want to share?
Beautifully, absolutely, with joy. And thank you for acknowledging us publicly again of our presence. And you think about, I'm going to speak a lot as we, because I really directly represent one of the most beautifully evolved and enlightened intergalactic groups there is, and the Arcturians. Oftentimes we are misrepresented on this planet because of the distortion, the fear, the manipulation, whether it comes from, some of the grades, not all the grades are the same. Some of them are really advanced and ancient. And as ambassador, we never discriminated over other beings based on their either they lost their ways, they're disconnected from source connection or from their point of origin. We help them. We give them an opportunity to choose the path of redemption, of learning, and reascending again in the truth, like you are beautifully. You're reascending again in the path of your truth. And this is part of the reason why the Arcturian core frequency on the planet is either really well celebrated and welcome and very much identified to, and people wants to be in that energy more, but it's also feared and manipulated and impersonated by those who claim to be Arcturian, talking to Arcturian Council. And you have to understand what it feels like to be an Arcturian. There's nothing like being like one to know our really core frequency. We are what we emanate can never be reproduced or replicate. And that's what you can also have markers of discernment to see who you're listening to and what is your experience in that energy, like you talk about gentleness, opening. Yet there's a great power behind it, and it's a power that is inspiring and invites you to be the best of who you can be, right? And all aspect of that. So coming back into my journey, again, from a genetic perspective or a physical perspective, I just about 30% human, meaning that my physical body, my template, my vessel has about just 30% of human DNA. And the purpose of it was to allow me to have this point of connections to the earth. I want to have a more earth-based connections and been understanding also the consciousness of humanity and being able to embody a fragment of what it feels like to be on the planet. The other portion came from my Arcturian self and a great many other groups. There's also an aspect of the higher Pleiadian who also help to bring and to compensate for the human DNA or the sample that we had in the Pleiadian, also have contributed to that to be able for me to stay in my higher frequency, because it's very difficult for me to retract myself in a in a world, in a conscious global energy that is so dense, fragmented, forgetted, and manipulated, all of this, it's very difficult for me to compress my frequency because I'm such a high being, naturally vibrating in a higher dimensional state. So there's a way that we brought about different form of other genetic material to help me really be on the planet. But I'm also representing the Andromedans, I also represent a multitude of other very ancient intergalactic races who have contributed an aspect of themselves to create this vessel. So when the time came for me to embody this beautiful vessel, perfectly made for my journey on the planet, well, this is why I brought in a fragment, an essence of my Arcturian self. And this is why you can say that at the soul level, I am this ET being. I am this extraterrestrial. I am the star being. I am this Arcturian being who have come and embodied this form so I can be boots on the ground with you. Because the impact I can have being on a planet is far greater than if I had remained in my Arcturian original self, which will be easier for me ultimately. However, as an ambassador, carrying within my uniquely designed DNA and the memo groups of my DNA so tightly packed with different information and layers of frequency that represent such a diversity of other interstellar groups, it's actually really support my role as my ambassadorial role here, which will continue to expand even more. This is just the beginning of my journey. So this is why the way I came about and the way I was returned to the planet is very different from, let's say, a star seed or an ancient soul that also sent a fragment, a fractal of itself, but will embody a human body in the uterus, and then of course go through the birthing canal, which can be very traumatic and very also limiting and discerning for beings who come from other places and going through the birth canal. And I encounter that a lot in my work where we help these soul trauma to be released from the birth process and coming back in that birthing energy and relearning to remember who they are, relearning to get in tune with our gift, their abilities, and our connections. That is very much natural. But here, it's something that human beings are relearning. And it's the opposite. It's the unwinding of these memory loss, these personality trait that human beings embody, and then you forget even where you came from. Why are you here to begin with? So that's a great reversal of that forgetfulness. And more I see 2026 being a paradigm of settling into the true identity of who you are, which of course create ripple effects into the global planetary conscious template here on the planet, which is why all these false prophets and false identity and those who are impersonating or misguiding or utilizing it for self-serving and false sense of power, it's all going to fall and be revealed naturally, because that can no longer be sustained in the movement we're in right now, this new blueprint. So for a very, very long time, Danny, I had to be very patient with the slow pace sometime of evolution on the planet. It feels like everything takes so much time. That's because here everything vibrates such as a slower, more denser, dualistic energy pace compared to where I come from. Manifestation, it's more than a blink of an eye. The thought is sent out, the manifestation is already there. Here, everything seems to take time because this is part of the experience. It is part of the soul experiment you were here to understand. But now we have the authority, the sovereignty, the freedom, the light authority within ourselves to say, let's reverse that slow manifestation and bring it back into a more universal timing, universal alignment. And this is why we're moving into a universal oneness. This is why when you coming the way you do, imagine the acceleration of your own evolution. Imagine how we are creating positive domino effects into right the fabric of this planet, right in a global conscious way, to help to awaken how many more people. And it's no longer about lingering on the wounds and the story of what took place, but rather to acknowledge it, like you've done so beautifully, and how we acknowledge each other, how we're able to return with each other in a way that matters the most. It's what we're going to about to co-create next that's going to make a difference in the directions of for the human species. It's human beings are relearning to be human beings. We see that on the intergalactic level, the advanced enlightened ones. And there's nothing to fear. And there's one thing I'd like to clarify that others are pulling out there, and it makes me sad in my heart, is putting seed or implementing seeds of doubt about your own light. And that's included when the soul, because it's a soul decision to leave the physical incarnation and return into the realm of light, to put all these seeds of fear of what might happen to you when you leave your body. And will you be going back to the light, or you will be trapped into a paradigm? And I feel that those who are doing this and putting this message on behalf of channel beings, they're creating karma. So they may be trapping their own selves into a reincarnation until the karma is cleared. You do not, Danny. That's the difference, because you're stepping into your light, and that's you become an example that can inspire thousands on the planet. Thousands. It's a time for all of you to own who you are, step in your sovereignty, forgive yourself for being either trapped into fantastical information or books with illustration that feed your mind and program your subconscious mind about what other beings look like or are or behave, and dictating what others are without really tuning into the truth of their soul essence. This is all part of great learning that needed to happen, actually. It was necessary to release the veil of illusions, manipulations, and false perception. Now we're giving an opportunity to come back with each other and says, now, now you're ready for true organic higher consciousness communication with your star brother and sisters, because to us you are the brothers and sisters of the earth, representing so many delegations, and we are eager to reconnect with you without having these distorted field creating barriers between us. The barriers are shifting, are dissolving, and
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing to fear, but rather to celebrate. Can you feel that?
Yeah, totally. Well, there's two things there. A lot of people are, I was going to make a note, soul trap, and I've already forgotten the second thing. So let's talk about, yeah, and your mum and dad, um, to go back there, because you said about, 30% human, um, mainly Arcturian. You've come to understand, I mean, you've known this about yourself for years in your Arcturian connection. Mentioning the soul trap or people getting stuck in a loop, there are those that are so frightened of death, and it's so sad when their loved ones have died, and many, many, many millions have during the last 5 years, unfortunately. More now because they thought, well, we'll jab a few and then we'll get away with it. There'll be enough time down the road before people unfortunately expire. But there are those losing their beloveds and thinking, oh my God, what will happen? Will they be in some kind of in between? Will they be held somewhere? So, what can you say to bring peace to people's minds, the reality of what happens when their soul does leave the body?
Yes, and I'm glad we're talking about this. In fact, I love synchronicity. Yesterday, I was working with a beautiful client of mine, and he asked me the same question because his wife transitioned and he wanted to know. So what I'm about to share, it's from a perspective as an Arcturian, because we work a lot with souls who are recently departed from the earth plane experience, and we help those souls to either heal, restore themselves, understanding their journey of the transition, returning into the light, what it feels like, what their life was about, and helping them to redirect those souls into new ways so they can evolve and continue to expand. So I'm going to brush onto that. And I'm going to also talk about from a first-hand experience that I've had myself with loved ones. I've seen soul transitioned, and I asked the guardians, I asked the beings of light, can I see? Can you show me where my loved one is? What is their process? So we'll bring that to bring it to illustrate and demystify perhaps some of these fear barrier. Number one is how you live your life here and now as a human being in this body, physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, will also help you naturally transition when the time comes. One thing I need to also understand, and this is nothing to do with the mind willpower, but it's the soul willpower. It's soul will. The soul knows exactly when it was a time for you to return into your generational timeline, when you reincarnated, where, how, what was your native tongue of origin, whether you speak French, Italian, Spanish, English, that made a difference for your soul evolution. The places that you came back to, even though it may be a place of chaos, there was a purpose for you. Your genetic lineages, your ancestral lineage, the group of soul ancestors, everything was carefully decided and chosen by your soul. So the soul referred to us as your infinite part of you. Right before you came back into this incarnation, everything is part of your soul blueprint. You're here by design. So that means that the time of departure from this physical experience into your return to your original point is also part of your soul blueprint. So it's a soul choice, soul willpower. Even in time of COVID, I asked the ultra celestial beings, and I said, is that induce transformation or was still meant to be? And they said to me that they are group of souls on the planet who have different purposes, and they knew that when the time came as a soul group, they will depart and leave, whether it's through a global event like COVID, it could have been through a volcano eruption, a tsunami, it can be through an event, a tragic event that took place, whether whatever was triggered, those souls who have departed and left their physical incarnation, they knew that this is how that soul of group will leave and return to the light and being able to allow to evolve. And there's other soul of group who will stay longer because they're anchor point on the planet. So everything is by divine unfolding design. It's not about somebody forced another one to leave earlier or was killed or was, pushed in a way. Everything has a great, great purpose. We forget here. And when we come into this incarnated veil of energy, into the 3D version of this earth, everything is very emotional. And then the 3D logic mind, we call the 3D personality mind, takes it over to protect you. And if you operate out of that fear and you start to build how could I say that, some mechanism around safety. What does safety looks like to you? What makes you feel safe and protected? Well, if you take shelter behind your 3D personality mind, the mind will shelter you based on its capacity to decode what's happening here, but it has no knowledge of the infinite part of you. So imagining instead operating through your life to your guidance, intuition, higher perception, intuitive centers, higher perspective through your divine infinite self, and allowing more light to come in more fully, that will change your perspective and your understanding of what this is. So souls who are leaving the planet, they are really well taken care of. Arcturians, we have a gateway open to help those souls to heal. We do that to practically every planet around the multiverse. We help a lot of souls who are returning from a certain incarnation to heal, to understand, gain perspective on their incarnation, and what is the next level for them. Souls are always allowed to evolve. And even for us, it looks like a de-evolution. It is still considered to the eyes of these beautiful creation being as a source of evolution. Souls always evolve one way or another. So when souls leave their body, if all their life they have on the, whether it's substance, drugs, alcohol, medications for depressions, mental anxiety, stress about fear about the future, be lingering in your past, and you come. That's the energy that you leave on. What will happen is that the soul, there's a construct, almost like a sub reality, that is being created by you, by the soul, and the beings of light says, okay, we understand that this is a transitional place that you need to have in order to release yourself from the 3D personality and all the earthly attachments. So souls who lingers here on the astral plane, what this is about, Danny, it can be that a soul who is so enthralled with the material world, they don't want to leave it. They refuse to go to the light. And I've seen soul telling me, oh no, I refuse to go to the light. My house, this is my property, and I'm going to guard it. It belongs to me. It doesn't matter if it's 300 years ago or if it's 5 years ago, because a soul has an earth-based attachment. It can be also attached to someone, feeling that they have unfinished relations or unspoken words, or want to give their forgiveness, or to feel like I want to repair the wrongdoing or whatever. I want to be the guardian for my family. I have seen the energy of a father still watching over his daughter or his son, and the son is 40, 50, 60 years old, but they're still in the house doing around. I remember one woman, one time I said, what is this tall man with dark hair, and he kind of, has a nice stature to him, and every night he goes around, checked all the windows and the doors, and he goes, how did you know? This is what my father used to do.
Ah.
But the father has chosen as an assignment to stay as a guardian.
Mhm.
It's not because he's trapped, it's a soul choice.
Mhm.
Those who are really fear-based and those who have extreme life, like, killing and inflicting fear and inflicting suffering on other beings and all of those are other type of souls, and are cared for in different ways. But ultimately, souls are always allowed to evolve. It's a soul will choice. The soul, you are this infinite being. And no one, I'm sorry, but absolutely no one, no structure, no AT beings, no AI, no artificial, paradigm, no one has the authority over the infinite part of that light of that you are. No one.
Mhm.
And when the soul comes and they're traumatized, then they will be allowed to heal, to be able to rejuvenate, to understand why these wounds, why these events, to understand a bigger design behind it. Was it something that on a oversoul level that was unfolded? So you have to think about that. You think of yourself like, okay, I'm here, I got my soul, and then I release myself from the physical body. But this is just the beginning of a much more bigger, beautiful divine design and process of you returning into the truth of the infinite aspect of you. You are multidimensional, you are holographic, you are eternal. How many incarnations did you think you had? How many lifetime you've had, whether it's on Earth or on other planets? It's more than what your 3D logic mind is grasping right now. This is why when we say, when you listen to from the entirety of your being, you start to understand that it resonates. I know this. I know this in myself. I know this in my heart. And so from a personal experience, hands on, I've seen 3 examples of soul releasing themselves from the 3D world and shifting and evolving in their own ways. Number one, I had a friend. She was in her mid-80s when her time came. And she made mistakes. She lived a very, very rich, very full life, had many children, have gone through a lot of things in life, but she was also very spiritual. And when she passed, she came to me like a shooting star. I saw this light beaming out, and I heard a voice saying, "Sweetheart, I am returning to the light, and I'm going straight there." And she didn't have to have an in between reality to help her adapt or adjust. She didn't need that. She knew, she was clear that when the time come, I'm going back to my light, and that's that. And I saw her like a shooting star in the sky, and there she was. And I acknowledged that. Beautiful Hosanna. Then, when my uncle passed away, I said, "Uncle, I want to know where you are." So I was brought back to this paradigm, this sub reality. There was only one light, and I saw my uncle sitting on a little table, drinking coffee, reading a newspaper. And I came and approached him, and he looked at me, puzzled. "Why are you here?" I said, "Uncle, I'm asking you the same question. Why are you here?" And he said, "What do you mean? I love it here. I can drink all the coffee I want. Nobody bothers me. I
Mm.
can take all the time I need." Because in his lifetime as a human, he was always the dependable one, always the one to go shovel the snow and run errands for everybody, always on the run for everybody, always busy with something. Now, when he passed, that was his way to transition, to help him adapt himself, adjust to his new reality that is no longer in a physical body. Nobody expect anything from him anymore. So his loved hobby was to sit down and drink a cup of coffee. But he evolved from there. Now you would say, did he stay stuck there? No, then he did not. Because I ask again, show me where you are now. And a while later, I saw him into this beautiful place, like a resort with a fountain, flowers. And he came to greet me. He said, "Oh, my niece, come. I'm about to go on a cruise." I said, "Uncle, you're going on a cruise?" "Yes." He said, "It's a cruise for those who have, for those who are dead, those who have come to this place. And we're going on a cruise. You want to come?" I said, "Uncle, I'm not allowed to go with you because it's not my time. I have a lot of work to do." "Oh," he goes, "That's right. You do. Well, I gotta go. I'm gonna go see my wife, my other family members, my friends. I have a group waiting for me." I said, "You do that, uncle. Go to the light."
Mm.
And then after that, there was another level of transition for him. Then after that, that was it. Meaning that now when I want to commune with him, I understand it through his soul essence. He remembers who he was to me. So he will say, that's right, you remember me as your uncle." But he no longer has the attachment to that identity.
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
another example I first and experienced. And I've seen those souls who have departed for a very long time, and they are majestic beings. Some of them have become guardians for other souls. Others are assigned to other part of creation. Others are going to overseas, maybe the birth of a new species. They take on new assignment.
Mm.
Souls are always allowed to evolve, but that evolution has nothing to do with our perception of what evolution is. I hope that brings that perspective.
That's beautiful. That will help a lot of people. Again, we're very drawn to different people and their frequencies to find information, but sticking with just one singular person, because that person, if they're here on the planet, no matter who they say they are or think they are, they're still going to be evolving too. And
They are.
that's why nobody has all the answers, every single answer. With the soul journey, I witnessed my beautiful husband dying very suddenly. Well, it's interesting because he died, and then the ambulance men brought him back to life, but only his heart beating. He was completely brain dead by then. Then he was put into, well, he was already in a coma, but if the rest of the family, his family, were able to witness him on Zoom during bloody COVID, which was agony on earth for 9 days until his whole body left. But he died on the day with me, and you know, it's difficult to talk about because obviously they've got one story, but I was there. And what happened was, he dropped to the ground with a heart attack very suddenly, and during my giving him, the pumping his huge giant chest. And I remember sitting back, I was on the phone to the ambulance guy just for 1 second as he was lying flat, this huge 6'4", massive, muscular, beautiful man, this huge angel man. A wave of energy went through his body, and then he sat up. Now I'm sitting on the floor next to him, he's lying on the floor. A wave went through his body moved, his mouth opened in this really large oblong shape, and his soul came out of his mouth.
Oh, wow.
I know, and I'd never seen anything like that. And then it sat between him and I, Vivian, and it was this beautiful, almost this diamond shape, but it was like a yellow and orange, like a jelly, bright light that was alive, and it had all these little bubbles, and I knew instantly I was looking at life bubbles around his beautiful soul. And he laid back down, and when I'm watching this, looking at it, and I looked at him and I said, is that your soul? And then the soul went whoosh, and in a straight line up. That was the noise it made. It was incredible. And then I knew, oh my gosh, he's gone, he has gone. Anyway, while later, the ambulance guys are there, but they're firemen. We were in the middle of California on a huge estate with security gates. They finally get in, they get his heart beating again, and they've put him on the trolley, the gurney, and he's wearing a white shirt and navy blue and light blue checkered shorts, and they've got him lying down. And I'm walking up behind him, and it was a windy pathway with so much foliage and palm trees and cacti, and these huge men are trying to drag my beloved. And I'm looking at him. I'm the one behind looking, and all of a sudden I feel like, oh my God, I'm going to collapse. I suddenly feel like this is just too much, and I'm going to pass out. My legs started to crumble. Then I felt this energy at my back, and it was him, and he was supporting me. And suddenly I was able to keep like walking. Then the next thing, he's standing in front of me, completely solid in front of me. He's much younger. He's wearing a black t-shirt and black shorts. And I'm looking at him, and then I'm looking at the body on the trolley in the white shirt and the blue check shorts. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not seeing you, Jeff. You're not dead. You're lying on the trolley in the white shirt. I know you're standing in front of me looking very handsome and young in the black t-shirt and the black shorts, but I'm not, no, no. And he said, I'm not coming back. Like that strongly, yeah, I'm not coming back. Then the next second, he's beside me, walking with me, with his hand on my lower back to stop me from collapsing. And I'm looking at my beloved, physical, human beloved on the trolley, knowing that his spirit is walking with me, up that pathway. It was so incredible to witness that, Vivian, on so many levels. Yeah, horrific, horrendous, worst moment of my life, worst day of my life, but also so beautiful as well. Like, number one, what an honor to hold someone and be with someone when they pass. That's your person. That is a designed aspect. It is designed who you're going to be with.
Yes.
And then there are some people that pass, and the person just left the room for a moment, and they come back and they go, oh my God, they died. But perhaps the person didn't want you to witness their last breaths,
No,
or
no,
be left
that's
with
true.
the horror, so many things. The other thing
You're
I
right
want,
about that. You're right
yeah,
about it. The soul chose if they want to be with someone or they want to be alone. And it is truly a soul choice. There's a purpose behind it, like what you said. Thank you so much for sharing this most vulnerable and yet absolutely phenomenal experience with your husband. I can only imagine. This
mm,
is incredible, Danny.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's hard. I can say it now without crying. I can
Of
feel like,
course.
you want to, because it's just so, but also it's so beautiful. And what you're sharing about souls, and we know people are so tormented and some are so frightened, we're giving them true life lived experiences that will bring them comfort, which is why we put ourselves on the front line.
Yes.
I wanted to mention a book I wrote, I read. I made so many notes while you were talking. I read a book years ago. It really bothered me, annoyed me, pissed me off when I read it. It's called Journey of Souls. And all I can remember is this man, Michael Newman, I think, I forget now. And again, some of his work's for other people. It wasn't for me because it didn't suit me and the frequency of it didn't suit me. And he talks about all these souls, people who've died, lining up in rooms. They're in these long lines. And I'm like, no, 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 that doesn't happen. No, I'm not playing that game. I don't believe that. And, and people can be offended. I don't want to offend. I don't. But it's okay to say, I don't believe that. I'm going to go with what Vivian is saying or what Danny is saying because that feels more like truth, right? The frequency of truth that we feel we resonate with that, don't we?
That's a very important distinction. Again, is about resonance and what is also discernment. The thing about that description of soul lighting up, you have to understand what is the true context behind it. So let's just say that you're revisiting or traveling and you see a battlefield. It is possible you can still see soul attached to that battlefield. It can be battalion, but in that context, you would say, I have compassion for in that context, and then we can still help them. I have done that with different places in the world where I travel and I can see the energy of those who pass there tragically still lingering. And it doesn't take much usually to help them release themselves. And again, you have to understand in what context, what is the appropriate context for that group of souls, for that individual, for the historical background, for the context it was done. Ultimately, it's about, like you said, what is resonating with you. And I think it's going to be huge, huge key of wisdom moving forward in this new blueprint of this era where we are rediscovering our true ability, where we moving into a higher perspective and coming into our own, settling into our true power, what our sovereignty is, and what universal oneness is going to be about, and understanding that souls as they come in, they are also going to be allowed to release themselves. And it's the releasing a false impression that other beings seemingly have so much authority over us and they can dictate even on the soul level what we can do and what we cannot or what we're not allowed to do. No, that's stopped here. And that's why this domino effect of clearing and healing and opening the field, this says, use your discernment, ask yourself, why am I giving up my power so easily out of fear? What is the true source of that fear ultimately? And that will set you free. Like you mentioned, I choose to believe what the soul, when the time comes, the soul is given opportunity to return to the light of who they are, the light of creation to return. Why would you linger on fear to trap yourself? No, it's time, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much again for sharing that. That was very powerful.
Thank you, my love. Okay, I don't want to get off track here. You mentioned ultra celestial beings. Now, tell us what the Arcturians look like, and what do you mean when you refer to ultra celestial beings, please?
Yes, yes. And that's a really good question, Danny, because I just want to make a quick parenthesis. Any terms that you hear with our ultra celestial being, angelic being, intergalactic, interstellar, traveler, all of it, you have to understand that that terminology become a placeholder to understand really much what is the nature of that being or that opportunity. So never to attach yourself to a word, but rather the frequency of what has been shared. So coming back to Arcturians, I know Arcturians we have been depicted in many ways. One of the things Arcturians we have the ability to is that we easily project what's called our holographic light body consciousness. And let's just say we want to connect with you. Let's say there's a group of Arcturians who've seen that your heart is healing, you need help, you need assistance, you're genuine, you're authentic, there's a willingness, there's a receptivity in you. We will help. We will be there to help. Let's say there's a group of us coming to you, but we understand that there might be some barriers in your ability to see other beings, or there's a fear of seeing other beings, or there's maybe some experience with other beings that maybe create a little bit of a retracted of a fear energy or resistance. What we do is we never force ourselves to make contact. We want to supporting you. So what we do is that when we project our holographic light body consciousness, we may adapt that projection in a way that make me feel more comfortable to you. And therefore, some people have seen or depicted us or describe us as 3-4 feet tall, which is not really what we are. But if it's more comfortable to you, we may appear to you as if we are 4 feet tall, or emanating a beautiful glow of royal blue light, or sometimes purple emanation, that again, through our holographic and light body consciousness, we have the ability to transmit different light spectrum frequencies. And we know that some of these light frequencies or spectrum of light, it's more familiar, it feels more soothing, and of course comforting for human beings. So blue light is very comfortable for human beings. It's part of the spectrum that you're capable of recognizing and perceiving at this point. Purple light is also received as comforting, the violet flame and the yes and the masters. You've gotten used to feel that spectrum. So if we detect there's any resistance, a fear, a wound, or trauma, we can readjust the field, because for us, it's not about how you perceive us, it's what the interaction will provide you that is more important. Okay, so this is why the frequency of Arcturians are so in demand, in the sense that so many people are starting to really get in resonance with. They feel that they're identified to, they feel that they have a resonance, they feel like they feel comfortable, they're welcoming our frequencies more. So we have this ability to shift ourselves this way. When my Arcturian father and my delegation wants to come to me, there's no disguise, in the sense they're opening these huge portal, and I can see them. They're almost like as tall as the room is, because we're very, very tall beings. We're these majestic, lengthy beings. And when you are in our presence, it's how we share our soul essence with you. We're very generous that way. It's what we emanate. It's the love, the frequency that we come here. Think of us as these beautiful master beings of light who said, we recognize the master in you. Allow us to help you remember. And there's ways for us to work with you. So when I go back to the vessel and I'm with my own star families and I return into my Arcturian self, it's wonderful. I feel like I'm in this beautiful, longer and tall and lanky being. And it's almost like we're floating, because we're returning into this frequency of our true light, as opposed to feel like I'm condensed in this body. I feel like I'm really like reduced into this short being, condensed version of myself. And this is who we are. It's about our soul experiences. We have the ability to project ourselves into another being to help you understand who we really are. And then our physical form. But we are more ethereal being. We have the ability to be more naturally light than we are physical, even though we do retain a physical form, but not in the same sense as it is perceived here in this reality. Or the way the Syrians are presenting themselves, or the way the Pleiadians look like humans, or the Venusian, they look like more human, so you can relate to them, go like, but Arcturians, we are very, very ET looking, very much so. So that makes us different. It's not about how we look, it's our core frequency, it's our signature. If you're able to understand and really recognize the true core frequencies of us, of the Arcturian nation, then you'll be able to communicate with us. Because every time we present ourselves, we're going to send that core frequency. that signature that is uniquely assigned to us. Just like when Syrians come, they have unique frequencies and many frequencies because there's many different type of Syrians or a different level of Pleiadians, or when the Venusian come, it's very uniquely, you can't mistake a Venusian for reptilians or an aquatic being or someone from Alpha Centauri. Every being has a unique core frequency. That's what we need to realign yourself with. So, ultra celestial being, I use that term because it is familiar within the linguistic field on the planet. It's something you've heard before. So, ultra celestial being are beyond the angelic realm. They are these beings who are like larger, as big, as huge as the void. They represent guardians within the creation structure. They are the ones who are going to guide souls or group of souls to the next incarnations, whether they are in the physical earth base of the solar system, whether they are in different places in the multiverses. These ultra celestial beings are a direct represent an extension of creation, and they are what's called, they are existing with a different plane of existence. They no longer belong to a dimension, a star system, or a sun, or a species, or all of these attributes. They are beautiful being that coexist between plane of existence. So creation has different plane of existence, and each plane is divided holographically in different dimensions that create either star systems, whether it's Andromedan, whether the Milky Way, whether it's different levels. So there's the physical plane of reincarnation, there's the plane of existence where it's pure soul, pure form, and different other plane of existence where you are complete in oneness with Creator. There's no more form, there's no more identity, there's no more shape. It's very difficult to explain, but they're these beautiful ultra celestial beings are guardians between plane of existence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that's so beautiful. I know people will be curious regarding mum and dad. So you as an ET being, and there are several that we see on the front line, and you're being one, and there are others. Rebecca Rose is another. She's connected to Sirius. How would you explain that meeting, that first kind of awareness with your dad, who is the senior Arcturian, and you mentioned that portals open and you see them. So how do you connect with him? What does the ship look like, and how does your body go through its what's it called, dematerialization, if indeed it does? Can you explain that process of how you connect with them when you're on the ship?
There's so many layers to your question. I would like to maybe extract a few that will helping to maintain the pace and the flow of our conversation without creating too much confusion, because there's too much in one bag. Whenever they materialize my physical body, so I don't know where that's coming from. But when I go there, is I can literally either leave completely the planet and return to the ship, or I will project my holographic self. So this is why I think that some semantics are a little bit, what the way we utilize some of these semantic as placeholder may have a different meaning to you, but the word to dematerialize, we will never use that terminology. So it doesn't work quite like this for us, if that makes sense. So I want to clarify that right away. We're not like in Star Trek with your molecule are deconstructed and you're being re-put together. It doesn't work that way. Not for us, not for the Arcturians. There may be other species who does that, but not for us. So there's nothing that if they want me completely off planet, there's a way to put my body, and I'm no longer on the planet. And I'm very conscious of it. And I retain this complete physical form. That's because they're going to be used, they need to work on this physical form. Otherwise, there's no need for me to bring my 3D physical template. I can just simply return into my Arcturian avatar self which I prefer, because then I can be fully, completely integrated into the collective consciousness of the Arcturians and other species that we work with. And then I can be assigned to, whether it's I have a meeting with different council, or I'm appointed to different tasks, or I may be moving into different place in the multiverse while my 3D physical template rejuvenate, and then I reintegrate. And then when I come back, I go, oh, okay, I know that this is where I come from. I understand what just took place. I'm just reintegrating, and then I'm ready for my day, whether I'm online or doing work or teaching a class. So this is why we have to release ourselves from these preconceived notion that's been pushed onto the subconscious and conscious field of humanity, to think about how does it work. It's really about, you have to understand in the organic science of contact, whether it's you're going into an experience on board a ship, or whether you are connecting in a sub-reality or a holographic space that they may be creating to make connections with you. It's something that we're really learning to understand what it feels like. But number one is no fear, and number two, it has to be from a state of higher consciousness, connecting organically to another. So if you bring on board on a mental level of the influx of information that you may have read through books or channeling or YouTube channel, all of it, then you're no longer open and receptive for making that contact happening, because you're full of belief system and overflow of information that your mind is going to project. In these projection or mental projection, we're going to perceive it. And if we see there's too many projection in the field, we're not going to force contact. We're going to go say you're just not ready. And we're going to take another way to do that, which is called the astral/dream state. And people go like, "Ooh, I dream about these beings." Like, is it true? Yes, it is true. That's because that's the only way we have for you to disconnect from your mind. Now you're open and receptive for us to really bring the message of what we need to bring. Otherwise, it's going to be misinterpreted and filter out through all these filter system and mindset or belief system. And so the message is no longer valid because it has been diluted too much. If that makes sense.
That's amazing. I mean, I probably shouldn't share this, but I had a dream last night that a person I'm very upset with was
Mm.
standing in front of me, but almost in a disguise. This person, instead of having normal colored hair that they normally have, they were kind of blonde and standing. And there was an ET that we both know, very beautiful, tall ET that was standing, looking at this person, almost admonishing her, like, say sorry, like, and I, in the dream, I'm saying, why did you say that? Why did you do that? You hurt so many people. Why? And this person was saying I didn't. I'm like, you did. You did. And then they were just denying. And then I literally woke up coming back into my own body like, oh my God. Oh my God, that just happened, because the person won't talk, hasn't seen me for months, and I've been asking, let's sort it out privately. But when you don't sort it out, when you don't face your own creation of negativity, lies, drama, etc., your pain that you've created, other ways are going to be found. They're going to get you in the dream time. The ETs are going to whatever, whoever. That's the way it works. But yeah, that's amazing. That's beautiful. Thank you. It's so nice because, again, what you're doing as an Arcturian, and people can see the difference in some of the different beautiful species and beings, is that the way you do describe in layers. You do describe in multi-dimensional frequencies. So you're saying, let's say one thing, but there's lots of different things going on. And it's just a whole different, different frequency.
It
Um,
really is. I love the way. I thank you for recognizing that we are speaking, sharing, and teaching in multi-dimensional layers. Therefore, these layers, each layer also has set of frequency, and those frequency are also a form of communication, exchange. And this is for us much more powerful and potent because it engages your entire being as opposed to just to stay stuck in the mind. The mind wants to know more, but never really integrates what has been shared. So this way, by doing sharing and teaching and explaining, through multidimensional layers with the corresponding frequencies, it's pretty much becoming an experiential exchange. And that can also support everyone much more into the breakthrough, ascension, realization, healing, evolution, much more, much more. And Danny, I'm overjoyed today took place because we have not only started by clearing the space and realigning the timeline together, the path now we're going to move forward on, but we've also explored a lot of great, beautiful, multidimensional wisdom, many powerful messages, whether it's journey to the soul, expression. And remember that what we do is that we bring the Arcturian perspective of the millions of years of a journey that we have learned to our own journey of evolution. So our perspective is to really supporting you. That's the unlocking of the self-mastery. And we're here to help to accelerate this planet. We're here to really oversee that this world, your world, and human beings and other lifetime, other beautiful other lifetimes are coming together in alignment as you no longer feeling so anchored by a past or by what took place, and allow yourself to free yourself so you can move and give yourself permission to experience new type of energy frequencies interaction, discovering the knowledge encoded in you. That's a huge one. So thank you for bringing us today. And just a thought, I'm going to send a thought, a really fun positive thought out there. I know you're doing you've been doing in the past your conference on the Galactic Spiritual Informant Conference, perhaps as a time of great reunion and a great gatherings. It will be a time maybe to bring all of us as part of your conference so we can be together and usher this reunion and really bring the true energy. And can you imagine the frequency and the level of experiences that we could co-create and co-manifest with each other? So just a thought.
Yeah, beautiful. The one in England this year, I'm doing England in September, is completely stacked. It's completely full this year. But then I'll be doing my next one in America in 2027. And Laura Eisenhower will be there. Brad Olson will be there. Hopefully Jerry Willis, who's another extraterrestrial, will be there. And hopefully you will be there in 2027, Vivian. That will be beautiful.
Are you inviting me?
Yeah, I'm inviting you, girl. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
inviting you. Well, you just kind of invited yourself, so. But you were already on my list. That you didn't know, so
Ah,
you're already on my list. Um,
perfect. In 2027 would be perfect. Besides, I would have said no for September because I am fully booked myself with a lot of other engagements.
yeah, yeah. You've got so busy, and your university. I mean, we'll come to that. I don't want you to go just yet because I've got a couple of questions to ask you directly. Do you, um, what do you think of implants? But as a means, so there are people that say that they have an implant and that's the only way that they're able to communicate with extraterrestrials, unless it's their soul star family. If any other ETs, they can only connect to them if they have an implant. I personally don't believe that. That's my personal belief because I've met with lots of different extraterrestrials. I don't have an implant. And I
Mhm.
don't buy it and I don't want one and I don't want to play that game. And I've got questions around Elon Musk, not that we need to go into it, but I just don't trust them. There's too many people with too many big stories and I don't trust them. And I'm allowed to say that, and think for myself, self mastery, like you said. And when I'm wrong and I own it. But what are your thoughts on alien extraterrestrial technology in the brain plants?
Well, extraterrestrial technology is one thing, implant is another, in the sense that if you take the advanced one like us, the Arcturians, or even the Andromedans, we're utilizing a very advanced form of organic assisted consciousness form of technology that is completely non-existent on the planet. So for us, to your point, we have no need to utilize those implants. I know that I have encountered other starseed on the planet who have, to a certain level, certain implants, and that's part of an agreement they have with their soul, on the soul level, and with their star their star family, and depending on the level of consciousness, the level of the way they operate, some of them may feel at this point may still be necessary to a certain degree. But here's the good news about this, because the timelines overall are shifting. We are moving into and embracing more the higher organic timeline for the natural reascension process. This kind of approach that in the past may have been effective to a certain degree and necessary to a certain degree, again, depending on the agreement, the purpose, the goal, and what is really behind it. This kind of energy will no longer be necessary. So there's a lot of changes in that direction. For the souls who will continue to evolve through a middle timeline called the third dimensional baseline, which is we are shifting from more and more. And those who will continue there, well, again, they're allowed to evolve and experiment with implant AI technology that is a non-conscious assisted. And you only to realize ultimately, Danny, that it may not lead as far as they think it will, but that might be for them to discover. Again, it's all about soul experiences. So there's a variety, there's a lot of different type of implant, different type of purpose, different agenda, different goal. So this is not just one size fits all. You have to look in terms of individually what is behind it. You have to ask different questions. One of the things I utilize myself whenever I want to understand or gain understanding on a situation is I will consult with the Council of Time, the guardians, or overseeing that everything in the multiverse and creation unfold naturally according to that divine design. And I'm going to consult with the karmic council or the karmic board. And oftentimes, this is where through the great archive, I can understand better where maybe an individual may carry a certain level of implant, what is really behind it, or what is the soul agreement, what is the group behind it, what is the purpose. And then as it is necessary, I can ask, okay, at this point, can I be released from the soul experience? Is it still necessary? If not, then can it be released? But that's going to change in mentality, in approach, in communication. And the more we are stepping into a very distinct level of higher conscious energy, it's all about our consciousness. The more we are evolving, the more we also starting to get in alignment with different form of abilities that may seem still a little bit out of reach, but in reality, it is still encoded. Like, for example, moving into completely conscious telepathic communication to be able to understand the true mechanism between thought form exchanges. And that thought form exchange is also very sensorial. You can also, it's called thought feeling exchange, or leading to a more soul exchange. And this is different form of higher communications where the old way, so to speak, of having an implant is no longer relevant because there's been an evolution in consciousness. So again, when you look in terms whether it's a ship, whether it's on a planet, whether it's, approached from the star nations, you have to think about where is that soul, that star group consciousness at right now, and why are they utilizing certain ways? Why is it still tagging, let's say tagging their own people who are presently in incarnation in human form? Well, you have to ask them directly at the source, help me understand and reveal the higher truth behind these maybe organic implants. But here within the 3D UFO fear-based field, the word implant, like the word abduction, like the word gray, have been all meshed up into one big blend of fear-based energy, and there's no more distinction between what are we looking at truly. This is why I love the question, because it is powerful in allowing discernment to understand. The same thing with, there's so many people who have agreements with a lot of different group of star beings out there. What is the purpose behind it? What have they come to learn? What are they teaching those star beings as well? Because remember, there's always an exchange. It's not just the star beings want to utilize the humans, but what is the human teaching the star beings? It's an exchange. Does that make sense? Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, that's so beautiful. Beautiful. I would love to invite the audience to bring their questions. It's another way of saying, will you come back to my channel and we can talk more and share more with the audience? That would be so great. If we could invite the audience to bring their questions, anything about Arcturus, Arcturus, Arcturians, frequency, what they look like, how to connect, how to find out if that is your star soul family, different ways to communicate, healing modalities, your university. Sorry, your university. So we'll invite everyone to ask questions, and then next time you come back, we'll go through the questions together. But will you share with people how they can connect to you? You're still doing one-to-one sessions, which I'm amazed at. I'm amazed that you are still able to hold that frequency and work one-to-one with people. Bless you for that. And how do they connect to your beautiful Arcturian University, which is fantastic. I've seen some of your teachings and the movie you made. I mean, I'll put it all underneath, all the information, but just share with us what you've been doing in that regard, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you for asking, Annie. I appreciate it. Just to clarify that after so many years and thousands of sessions, I have moved into a new role, which is more the cosmic teacher. And then it's that's a precursor to my ambassadorial role. So the one-on-ones I no longer offer that publicly. I offer something even more. Every month we offer what's called the Arcturian Healing Chambers group healing. So that's an event where anybody around the world can sign up for. It's about, I do two parts, an hour each part, so 2 hours total. It's an opportunity to really experience firsthand the beautiful healing virtues of the Arcturian healing chambers. And as a protocol that we bring when we open the sacred space, we also invite people to connect with a group of Arcturians, helping you to stabilizing your field, opening yourself to bring yourself into the Arcturian vessel. So when my Arcturian father's vessel, and then we enter the field of the organic consciousness of our vessel and being able to experiment the Arcturian healing chambers. So I have shifted into more group healing because I can work with, hundreds, if not thousands of people all at once. And those monthly events have been so beneficial. We get a lot of feedback from them. People absolutely get a lot, not only from a healing perspective, but also from I would say, awakening of consciousness perspective, getting in touch with your true mastery, helping you to deepening and enhance the quality of your communications, whether it's through your higher self, your guides, your own star families. It has so many, how could I say that, benefit from it. And we have a way to bring, we have a protocol that we observe. So the Arcturian Healing Chambers group healing, it's on also on the Arcturian University site. You can buy what's called the single tickets. But when you're part of our sanctuary, our online sanctuary, you're also part of a very beautiful elite of light-minded community. And we have every month gatherings online with the members only, with the Starseed Circle, the Gaia Consciousness Gathering. We have also the community gathering about heart exchange support. And we do also retreat all over the world for members only. And we also offer master classes and master series. In fact, we're going to start this Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, the new series coming up. And it's really a place of soul pilgrim. It's a place of rediscovering the potential of who you are without the distortion, without the noise, without the, overflow of, distraction of what's going on in the world or what's happening on TikTok and social media. And I'm like, it's so oblivion, so irrelevant. It's about this deep connection and to know that we are with you, walking with you the journey, and you are surrounded by others who are on the planet, all souls, star seeds, ancient beings who have the same desire to shift and to finally rekindle with the true essence of what human beings are. So human beings are really reconnecting with the essence first of what a human being is, this compassionate, empathic being that you are, not a distorted, distracted, minimized version of yourself, but the truth of your true self-mastery. And that self-mastery unlock the door, unlock the potential to universal knowledge, to everything you've ever want to know, not to feed your mind of information, but to know with practices, with practicality, with application, with benevolence. So the sanctuary has blossomed, and it's incredible what we're doing, what we're achieving together. And I am so blessed to have in our community and as part of the members of our university, beautiful human being who are dedicated or committed. They come with they're genuine, they're honest, they're authentic. I am just so honored to be of service to all of them, and for them to see them ascend and blossom and fulfill what you've come to do. Can you imagine when your time comes for you to leave this planet and say, I have fulfilled to my soul mission? This is huge, right?
Mm.
So there's so much more, but just to give you an idea. So I've shifted my line of work so we can grow and expand on a global level and invite also our beautiful star beings, our star brothers and sisters to be with us. It's time. There's no difference between you and me.
Mhm.
It's just it's the mindset, is the impression, is these experiential personality impressions that give it the illusion that there's a huge difference between us, but there's not.
Mhm. Too true.
Mm.
I know that to be true. Well, Viviane, thank you so much. And to everyone out there, I'm going to put all of Viviane's details directly underneath the video. So it's all there, everything you need to know. And then come with your questions, put them in the comments section underneath the video, underneath the description with her details. And then we'll come back in a couple of weeks and we will sit and spend time answering all of those. If there was a final few words, a message you want to give to the audience, because there'll be people from your, people that work with you and follow your work and connect with you. We'll be happy to see you at anything you do online. You've always got lots of people that come that love you. And those, some people on my channel may be new to you, but what would you like to say collectively to them?
Trust your ability to know, to discern, and to perceive beyond any veil of illusions or anything that's presented to you. It's a time for all of us on the planet to step as planetary leaders and also as emissaries of light. And when we say, this is our core philosophy at the Arcturian University, that says, stay in your light. To stay in your light, it's a direct invitation to embrace your true power, your sovereignty, and the magnificence of all that you are. And that includes your human journey. And that's just an aspect of it. So I know that we have exchanged so much frequencies, energy, presence, words of wisdom, healing, expansion. So this conversation has been very rich and very multi-layered, and I'm grateful for it. So take the time to digest, to feel, to reflect, and embody. And then until next time, we look forward to our next conversation and to see what else is possible in this co-creation.
Beautiful. Viviane Chauvet, thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to say as well, I just noticed something. I wonder if the audience will see. As you were bringing those last words, your eyes, I could see, were almost went golden, like literally golden, glowing. And then there's a light blue auric field that moved out of you that was kind of more pointed. But I wonder if anyone was seeing. You have to be careful when you're looking, because you could pick up the color from the picture behind you slightly, but no, this was, I had you on my full screen, and I saw this beautiful auric light blue field just separate and come and just show itself. I wonder if anybody else will see that too. That's so
Wow.
beautiful, because we're all able to see. We think we can't, but we can. And your beingness just projected that, and that was beautiful. So thank you again, Viviane. Yes, my love, thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you. And to the audience, I love you. I love you for being here. I love you for being on your journey of discovering everything and asking questions and allowing yourself to feel frequency, allowing yourself to listen to other information and still have an open mind, an open heart, and most important of all, love for yourself and your own healing journey. My name is Danny Henderson. As always, I send love from my heart to yours, and I will see you soon. Thank you, Viviane.
Thank you, Danny.